Well, I'm going to pin myself and say welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone this evening. I am particularly excited tonight because Gil Hodges has said he would join in conversation tonight, and we have lots and lots to catch up on. I'd like to just acknowledge his group that meets tonight and say thank you for releasing Gil with grace to come here. And if you're watching, of course, it's on video for you. But it means a lot. It means a lot when another ministry comes on and joins in. And I know that it's a bit of a sacrifice for people. You get into a rhythm and a role on subjects, and you look forward to your time together, and we're interrupting that. So I just want to say thank you. And of course to Gil for taking the time with us. So I'm not going to go into a lengthy introduction. I'm going to just pin my friend here. There you go. I'm up and down on this computer, but I think it comes out sideways for some reason, when it.
Okay.
I like it better
It's
when.
not sideways, it's just him coming in.
It what, darling?
On my phone, it's just him coming in when he talks.
Oh, is that how it's
You're
working?
not side by side, on my phone at least.
Okay. Sorry, Bob, who is the guy who puts us up on YouTube, and that is in the room and telling me everything's fine. Anyway, okay, Gil,
Yes.
I am so delighted. You're such an easy and fun friend, and I at first when I first asked you to come on, and I don't know how long ago now, it was months ago, but I felt a little nervous, like, it's Gil, and he's, got these important things to do and everything, and is he going to, all of that goes through your mind, and this time I thought, no, golly, he wrote another book, and I want to know what the heck's going on. And is he really writing, a book a day? Because all of a sudden I have three, and you've become my reading material. So I wanted to find out what's going on. What can I say? Before I just hand you the mic, because that's what I'd really like to do, but I will jump in conversation as well, of course. Could you just catch us up on the Pearl? Like, bring us in, like, invite us in when we come down the drive. What are you doing, and what am I looking at?
Well, well, number one, I want to say thank you for inviting me on here again. It's my privilege. I enjoy it, and I'm very thankful that I've got a group of people that are with me and come over here and join. I think half of the people anyway are over here. The other half, like you said, people get into routine, and so I just gave them the option of hanging out together and just doing something on their own, or come over here, and so I think some of them are hanging out together. But so I appreciate the opportunity here, and thank you for this place that I get to share with everybody. And last time was in November, I think, when I was sharing about breaking your matrix, and Brenda and Tim had seen that, and that was to me a God thing, the way they came about coming to visit here at the Pearl. We are still moving along and moving ahead. As I said before, we are still very much in the beginning stages. A lot of what we're sharing and talking about are dreams that we have in terms of moving forward. But the interesting thing is, I'm shifting, and I got a blog coming out in a couple weeks that is about the idea of moving into a space and place where, and I know this may not resonate with a lot of people, and it's totally okay. But we talk about co-creating all the time. And when we talk about co-creating, we oftentimes are talking about getting God to come alongside our plans so we can create together. So we want God to come along and do that with us. Now, there's a lot of nuances that go into that because ideally we're operating from what He's already put into us, right?
Yeah.
But I do see a lot of places where, we're just pushing for what we want. And I'm guilty of that. I'm big time guilty of that. But I do know that when I moved into the Pearl, one of the things I really desired was to have a new road put in and to have some RV pads set up. And Brenda and Tim came along totally out of the blue, and they just said, "Well, you got anything we can help you with?" And long story short, Tim, in about 2 or 3 days, built us a brand new road, which has been invaluable because that enabled people to come back here in bigger RVs, which we've had them come now since that was done. They would not, it would have been very challenging for them to get down the other little road. So that's been a blessing to have that done. And then the other thing that has been on my mind for a long time was getting a hardwire internet all the way down to our community center. And we just had somebody that came in with a bigger RV that we're here just for a few days. He went and bought all the stuff and he set the line up himself. It's about 100 yards down there. And that was a big project. And so it's that thing of opening up and just really being able to flow with what the universe is doing, flow with what God's doing, instead of trying to make it happen. Because I know Nicholas and Jeanette, who've been here with me for the last year or so, that they have seen me push and they've also seen me back off. And the bigger projects, I look at three big projects, the community center, and I don't think the community center was done. I mean, actually, I think the community center was done when we talked to you last. We had been using it. Well, now we're using it for some fun stuff too. We've done karaoke down there several times and got sound set up, and now we're going to have the videos and everything set up so we can record down there. But it's coming together step by step. And Nicholas, even just recently, has been out creating camping spots in the woods. And so, Nicholas, how many did you work on? I can't remember now. You've got several places cleared.
10.
10. Okay, so there's 10 camping spots down in the backwoods where we've got all these trails. And so that's coming together. We've got 3, 4 RV pads, three have all the electrical and water. Um, and it's all coming together. The thing is, I'm pretty particular about keeping the heart of the Pearl, which is a place of peace, and that's been a little bit of a challenge. There's been people like Tim and Brenda who come along. It's like, oh man, we'd love it if you stayed, but they got other things that they're going to. We just had another couple that came in the RV, and they're actually going around to different eco villages and checking it out to see where they would like to land. And it's like, oh, another couple we'd love to have. But just trusting that God's got the people that are going to come here and be part of this community and help us just put it together little by little. And the biggest thing is just having that space of peace. And it's really critical, I think, that and I'm kind of the one, I don't know, I'm the one that in the end has to let somebody know that there might not be a fit, because we did have somebody come in and I'd have a lot of conversations with them previously and thought, yeah, this person might work. But the energy that came with that person was very chaotic, and it was one of those people that just felt like they you know were the answer to everything. And you anyway, it was challenging. It was very challenging, and in the end, I was going to ask them that, or let them know that they probably wouldn't be a good fit and that it might be better for them to move on. And they came to that conclusion themselves. I mean, literally in the conversation that I was going to share that with them, they beat me to it. I'm like, that's a great way. Thank you, God, that they came to that conclusion themselves. But I don't know what else, Jeanette and Nicholas, they're here full time. Sandy is here part time. Um, so I don't know if you guys have anything you'd like to share about the Pearl and what's happening.
Yeah, this is Nicholas. One thing that was on my heart was having people come live here. And we had some visitors, like Gil said, over the last 2.5 months. I think I counted 6 or 7 singles or couples that came through for one reason or another. Um, but then just working with what we have, what Jeanette and I call, quote, next in our field, what's right next to us. And so our daily ritual has been getting up and we share our dreams with each other. We say, hey, has anybody had a dream? And so we're kind of keen on sharing dreams and going into that realm. And then about an hour or so before this, there's a subscription to Gaia here at the Pearl. And so we watched an episode on that, which we just are regular once a day. Either we're following a series together and letting some other rock star or guru lead us through breath work or sacred geometry or just some topic of interest. And so just being present with the people who are here. And then as far as mealtime, Gil and Jeanette and I just shared a meal together outside on the carport area, and it was pleasant. So for me, it's like like Gil mentioned the projects, and we now have kind of an organization to our project system that seems to be initially working for us, and we're getting a lot of new fun things done, planting bamboo, the campsites he mentioned, working on a chicken coop and things like that just feel like there's some structure that's helping us with that. But to me, even if you got all the projects done, if there was nobody here at the end of the day, that would be a loss. So I'm glad for the folks that we do have here, and I'm also excited about the people that come that will make the decision that they do want to hang out for a little bit longer and become friends.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So what I'm hearing, and I'm sorry your picture is, I need to be better at doing this, that you weren't live speaking, but I appreciate you speaking up. It sounds that it's very fluid, and it's not a daily have-to routine that's happening, and that feels very. I was relaxed listening to it. Let's put it that way. It touched my heart. So yeah, thank you, Jeanette. You're on.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Nicholas said. And next month I will have been here a year.
Wow.
And it's so beautiful because here at the Pearl, we move at a pace of peace. And I just, for myself, I try to stay in that place of peaceful expectancy that the Pearl will become everything that God intends it to be. And I love that, people come in, and whether they stay a day or 2 or 3 weeks, every one of them is beautiful. Everyone is beautiful. And, but yeah, we're just, we are developing and we are growing, maturing. And for me, this is the most peaceful place that I've ever been personally. Yeah, I've received more healing here in my 73 years than I have anywhere else. So, yeah.
You
Thank
guys
you.
are really good at staying to those scripts. Appreciate it. That was well read. No, I'm kidding.
The check's
You
in the
you
mail. Yeah.
you know me, honey. A pace of I stay at a pace of peace within a place of peace.
Oh, Jeanette, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Aw.
That really touches my heart because that's what we're all sort of looking for in our lives, period, right? And so coming together in a place that facilitates that is just awesome. Are there places in the Pearl where Ed and I don't have a RV? If we were driving by, what would we have to
Yeah.
find a hotel somewhere?
Well, currently, we have the tiny home, the tiny house, which we just spent a day leveling it because after we built it, it settled and we had to level it again. But anyway, the tiny house, which Nicholas is kind of going up and showing you, if you can see his camera there, you can
No. Okay,
see the tiny house.
where's my co-host? Can I come out of here? And I would like to see that.
There you go. Yeah, so I mean it's 400 square feet, 20 by 20. Nothing really fancy, but it's nice inside. and heated, air conditioned, and composting toilet. But it's well done, so you don't have any smell, which is a lot of people, are always concerned about the smell. But as things go on, we'll hopefully get some gravel up there and so forth, and we got to repaint that door. I keep saying that. We will get to it. Oh, he's going to go in. So hopefully it'll pop back up here and the internet will hold. He might have to switch, which we have extenders all over the property now, so you can get internet most places that you're at while you're here. But yeah, did we lose him completely? I think oh no, he's still there. Anyway, yeah, so it's that's like I said, it's a king size bed in there and bathroom, kitchenette, living room, little living space, living room area. But that's available right now, although we've got somebody that is going to be coming in May to look at it to see about moving here. Got a couple that's coming. And so that's exciting for us because they have been part of the ministry with me for years, and so it'd be pretty exciting to have them join us here. But the plan is to build more tiny homes. So, the more people we have here, the more ability we have to actually you know oh, there he's inside showing it now. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just simple, but and it was actually built for my dad, who was we expected in a wheelchair. We got to make the bed yet. We just had some people there about a week or so ago, but yeah. So this is and the other thing is eco village vibe. We're not a resort, and I don't want to give the vibe of a resort. I want it to just be, the simplicity of we use what's available, we recycle things, we repurpose things, and so you know, we had to stop picking up furniture and everything just because we don't have that much space yet to put all the furniture that was starting to accumulate. But anyway, so there's the tiny house, and we have one room in the house as well. And that tent out there, we were actually seeing if we could redeem it, but it had sat flat in moldy water for about 2 months, and I think we've decided that we probably are not going to be able to redeem it for what we would like. But yeah, so like I said, one room in the house as well. So if people are wanting to come and stay with us for a night, that's available. And I think that's it for now. We're still building out the barn. We'll have two more rooms down in the barn once the other half is finished. And those will be just like little hotel rooms, have a little kitchenette in them and a bed and so forth. Just community living, not anything fancy. We're not looking to build another big house. The house that's there, that is a big house, and that's probably the only one that will be on the property. So,
Right.
yeah. So yes, there is a place right now, and I'm actually putting together a website that will be just for the Pearl. And once that is up and running, then it'll have a lot more information, a lot more details, letting people know what's available, letting people know what we could use. There's a lot of things that if people wanted to donate, even if people wanted to donate RVs, we haven't even got that word out. There's a lot of people that are just don't do their RVs anymore and would be willing to donate. So we're looking at getting RVs as well that we can put on the property and kind of make it into a tiny home.
Yeah. Oh, well, sometimes just a little getaway is exactly what the soul needs, right? Just what everybody has shared sounds absolutely wonderful. Ginger wants to say something here. Please go ahead.
Hi, Helen. I'm driving. I've been on your Zoom many times before and enjoyed it, but Gil doesn't know I'm on here, but I just wanted to mention my experience there. And so I've come many times. It is a getaway for sure. I needed a reset. I came with needing to find peace and get some answers and connect with, it's a safe place. It's a sacred place to me. But I always walked away with every visit more than what I expected, with a full heart, with getting what really I needed in my spirit, in my body, in my soul. And so it's a beautiful spot for me. I honor it because of what it's honored me. It's blessed me so much. It's helped me to recalibrate where I was experiencing trauma breakdown. So there was times when I went for a VIP treatment. I was one that got to encounter the karaoke, but just the community and the resources and the love and the peace is definitely there. But the connecting with nature and connecting with people that are like-minded, and it is fluid, and so we'll play a game of cards, and so for me it fills me up on many levels. I'm single, and when I go there I'm with family. When I go there I'm with community, and so it's been a beautiful experience every time I've gone, and so just wanted to shout out about that.
That's a lovely shout out. Thank you. Well, Gil, it sounds like it's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, if you don't mind, so Helen got a message from me. Sandy doesn't know this, but Helen got a message from me today about how I love you and this and that. Actually, Sandy, I did actually get the message to you after I realized I sent it to Helen first. Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing because I thought I was sending it to Sandy. But anyway, Sandy has been here often. I mean, this is my the love of my life, and she has been coming here, for several days at a time and helping to. Actually, she comes with lots of ideas, and we have worked on lots of those ideas, and many of them have come to pass. So, um, I don't know if you want to say anything, honey.
Sandy, he really
Oh, she
loves
doesn't.
you. He really loves you. Just saying. I heard his heart.
She's going to be quiet.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was having trouble. I'm on my phone versus my computer. So can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah. You were muted.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know that about today. That is very interesting that you sent Helen. That's hilarious.
Well, he was very sweet and very polite. I'd keep him if I were you.
You're muted again.
Okay. This technology.
Yes. Yeah.
How is that? Is that
There you are.
Yes. Can hear you. Can't
okay?
see you, but we can hear you.
Okay. All right. I don't know how it muted me again, but anyway, yeah, I just wanted to echo what Ginger was saying. It's really been wonderful to kind of see how things have developed there, and being day to day with Gil, I get to see a lot of the exciting, wonderful things, and I also get to see the challenges, that go on from like, day to day. With having a big vision for something like this, it's just, um, it also requires a lot, having a big vision. But I'm so grateful for, as Gil described, people who come in and share their gifts and share their love. And it's just a beautiful, to me, just picture of the body. And there's a lot of times where we're like, how is this going to happen? How is this possible? And then it's amazing how like somebody will just come in and there will be a gift or there will be a talent, somebody will share something. And then also seeing people come in with some of the retreats that we've done there. I'm a naturopath, so I've worked in natural health for a long time, and so I love seeing people come in and having an opportunity to really just have a reset, as Ginger described, and just the transformation that happens when people kind of come away from all the noise of the world and step into a quieter and a simpler place where there's love and support, and various therapies that are also available, as well as access to Gil as he shares the things that he shares in his books and on the programs. And he does have such a big heart to give and to love and to see people transformed, to break their matrix, as the book says. And I really do. I shared this with him the other day. I said, I do think it is a special person who steps into something that's, it's easy to step into something that's already polished and running like a well-oiled machine, and everybody knows where everything's, how things are set up. But it's another thing to step in kind of on the pioneer trail, and everything's not built, it is that day to day. But I do believe people are sort of called, to that. They love being a part of building something. And it seems like through my lifetime, that's been one of the roles. It seems like, the Lord just puts me in that position a lot. And rarely have I ever stepped in anything that's already developed. It's just, there's something wonderful about building something together. So, very grateful for you, Helen, and also, just bringing Gil on and having an opportunity to share his heart, and, through the authenticity groups and the coaching, and then, with the Pearl, it's wonderful to get to see the connections that are made. I call it like that ripple effect, people that we don't know, and et
Yeah,
cetera. And that's how we all end up connecting and being able to love and support each other. And I really think that's a beautiful thing.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you guys are easy to love, so thank you. Ginger, we're going to take your hand and then we're going to transition into other. Go ahead, Ginger. Are you there? Okay.
You there?
Are you
There
there?
you go, Ginger.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I admit I'm terrible at taking my hand up and down, but yeah, I ditto the transformation and say it is powerfully transforming. That reset it just puts me in a different place, and the resources that they've given me is taking back for again implementing and more growth, and just the follow up that Gil's done. I mean, he's gone way and above and beyond. I got to tell that he's not your typical check it off and you went through that and you did this. He's just not that way. He's such a giver that I pray that God just overwhelms this place with the goodness of God, the resources, the investors, because it's solid, good ground. And so I just want to say that.
That is beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And we're with you. Our hearts are with you. We're joined with you. We're one. What else can we say? Yeah. I would just like to transition because I don't want to miss out on spending some time. In particular, I know, Gil, you have to come back and we will go back into your second book, the choosing.
Well, Choice was the first
Choice.
book. Well, there's 4 books, but I don't. The first book, I'm like, yeah, don't read that unless you're really just coming out of the church and you've had no clue what we're talking about here. Yeah, maybe go ahead. That one's called Living, or man, what is it? Living for Ultimate Impact. That's the first book, but I don't put that one out there anymore. I've pulled it out of most everything I do. It's just Choice, Breaking Your Matrix, and now this last book is Free from Religion.
Okay. Could we do a little bit of a dive into that? Because as I was sharing in the chat time, I just want to say to everybody. Well, first of all, to you, Gil, when we were chatting and you said this is available on PDF for free. The book itself is like $7 and pennies, and that's a message that really needs to get out there, as well as the way you've done it. You very seldom come to a place where somebody says, "Let's just get it out there," and that becomes priceless. Then I downloaded it. I still like the book in my hand, so I had to. I still need that, and I like having books like that lying around, especially during the season here when we're on the lake, because we have various people come through, and you like to provoke things. Well, it's my house. You can do whatever you want. Anyway, I read through it. It's an easy read. It's not an offensive one. It explains very, very simply some things that people, many, including myself, have had questions about. And I just thought it was ingeniously put together. So congratulations. And I really am recommending that everybody read it if they can, and have it lying around. It's one of the, I remember years ago I had, what was it? Demands a verdict. The evidence demands a verdict, because that was very controversial on Christianity, and that, though that's far more complex book of course and read, but
Yeah.
it's like that are life changing. I think this is one. I think it's a help. So, do you want to just whatever, talk about whatever motivated anything you want to, and we'll go into conversation. How's that?
Okay. Yeah. Well, as you know, I am really all about freedom. The VIP weekends that we do here at the Pearl, they're VIP freedom weekends. It's to help people be set free. Set free from what? It could be just about anything. When you understand, what we're doing in our classes, you realize you can be set free from anything. But religion is a big one, and that's the one that probably most of us have kind of hit that barrier and most likely broken through it already, that we wouldn't consider ourselves in a religious box anymore. Even if you're going to church, you still are probably thinking outside of that box, which is good. But this book just came to mind over, probably over, well, it's been building for years, but in a few weeks, few months time, it just kept building in me. So I just went to town on it and just started with, dictating for half an hour, 45 minutes, and just getting all these ideas out on the table. And then going back and beginning to, study it, research a little bit, and get the chapters to say what I wanted them to say. Um, but free from religion is just that. It's free from all religion. And religion can come in the form of atheism, and science, it's all part of a religious thinking where you just get dogmatic about what it is you think is right. But approaching it from the spiritual side of things, that, in chapter one, and I've got my notes over here, chapter one is the ego behind religious rules and control, and how the ego hijacks the sacred space. And what is amazing is, I believe in, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I am That is my main go-to in my spiritual meditations. If I'm going to engage with any, I don't engage with Buddha, I don't engage with Muhammad, I don't engage with any of them. It's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And yet at the same time, when you go through history and you look at what Muhammad taught, you look at what Buddha taught, you look at what Rumi taught, you look at all these, what Jesus taught, you realize these people, as people, were breaking out of the current religious systems. They were coming up against their religious systems, and they were coming out with a message. And the crazy, beautiful thing about it is each and every one of them were sharing about a God who loves unconditionally, who is all powerful. Each and every one of them had a very similar message. And it's just beautiful to look at and to realize, wow. So the greatest spiritual leaders of history all pointed to one thing: unconditional love and a God who is all powerful.
Yeah.
And that when we are willing and able to submit to that flow of what God is doing, then life just becomes beautiful. Doesn't mean it doesn't have challenges, but it just becomes this beautiful flow that you can trust, that even when things aren't going what you would consider to be beautiful, it's still okay. It's still good. You still trust that this good God has got your best in mind, and that whatever you're going through, it's going to be used to level you up. And I can get into a bunch of that later, but it is beautiful just to see that each one of these spiritual leaders had a message of the power of God and the love of God. And then what happens is, I'm going to assume for the most part, that most of the leaders that came after them, their intent was to preserve what was being taught. But in their attempt to preserve what was being taught, they create rules, laws, regulations, which then become a whole new system of you got to measure up in order to get in, you got to, hit this level and whatever. It destroyed what they taught. And so my whole premise for this little bitty pamphlet of a book, it's a little booklet. It's only, I think, 87 pages. The whole premise is just to have it be something you could hand out to people, and that they would be able to see that walking in your own spiritual journey is going to be the best route. Finding people that you can come together with in community who understand that you have your personal connection with God. And if you don't, then hopefully they can help you find a personal connection that is without strings attached, so that you can have your own journey to discover this God of unconditional love.
Yeah.
And that's where it's at, because once we get into the rules and the regulations, it just kills the spirit. I mean, it's in the Bible, that the letter of the law kills the spirit.
Yeah. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to take very little airtime here, that you do mention other spiritual masters, I call them, like Buddha and Muhammad, and that we have been taught for no, I'll say I have been taught for many years. I grew up knowing God, without really a religious background, and then with the charismatic renewal. And I keep saying I got born again in Copenhagen back in the day of the Word of Faith. So, and of course, that started a whole other mind lock into things that I am were good for the time, but aren't necessarily what I want now. But you were discouraged to talk about anything if it wasn't Jesus, and if Christ didn't refer to Jesus when Jesus himself said there are many Christs. So I appreciated that being included in your examples. So thank you for that. It's refreshing.
Well, and as I said, for me, I was I was trained and raised up in a Christian atmosphere. Not in my family, but just in the USA. Most of us are raised in a kind of a Christian environment, even around Easter and Christmas and all these things that point to Jesus. So when I am in meditation, that's where I go. But if it's a Buddhist and they're engaging with Buddha or whoever they, Hare Krishna, whatever, there's a lot of different things. But here's the bottom line. Are they growing in love? Are they growing in such a way that they're loving better, loving more? Because God is love, and that's the bottom line. Now we can go in and try to dice that up and just do what the leaders did when they put it back into a box. We can do that, or we can just say, "Oh, good, I see fruit that you're learning to love," and that's a good way to go, because God is love.
That's right.
And when we start trying to define what that means, we kind of start getting off track, because I will admit, I don't know exactly what real love, 100% God love, looks like, because I'm programmed by this world to believe it's a certain way. And even though I feel like I've shed a lot of that, I know I'm not 100% there. And so I'm not going to try to tell somebody else that theirs is wrong. But are we growing in love? Are we growing in unconditional love?
Yeah.
No strings attached.
I love that you brought up unconditional love. I had a very long conversation with a friend who has a global ministry. She's in all four continents, and we were talking about unconditional love. And she said my most difficult concept right now with unconditional love. She says, I believe I can live from unconditional love and know it. She said, my most difficult thing is to set boundaries within it, because we have such a difficult time with the terminology. Unconditional should mean, right, no boundaries, but they are very necessary.
Right. And I actually address this in the book, because it doesn't mean, unconditional love doesn't mean accepting everything unconditionally. It doesn't mean that. And it doesn't mean that you become a doormat. In fact, here's the big key. And that is, unless you learn to love yourself first, you can't really do the others. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to be faking it with everybody else. And I did this as a pastor. I did this for decades. I hated myself, but I tried to love everybody else. And that's a lot of freaking effort to try to love everybody else when you don't even love yourself. But when you love yourself and you truly are happy with who you are and who God has made you to be, and you're able to just rest in that, that's a bubbling up of love that just never ends. And it just overflows, and you just easily can share it with other people. But if you love yourself well, you don't become the doormat. You don't become a punching bag. Now, and yet at the same time, I'll say that there may be a time where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be the punching bag for a moment so this person can get through whatever it is they need to get through and then see what's on the other side. But the thing is, even if I'm receiving verbal abuse, or let me say verbal abuse is coming at me, doesn't mean I'm receiving it. I can sit there and listen to it and just let it fall off like water off a duck's back. That's being unoffendable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different thing when are truly loving yourself well and then loving others unconditionally.
Yeah. I think that's really, really well put. Some people will say, well, if you love unconditionally, then you're not judging. And I said, wait a minute. Let's talk now, because let's put parameters on what we believe. Because if we don't have some kind of boundary to, let's put it this way, if we don't have life values attached to our love, we'll go back into centuries where we thought love was killing your enemy. Love was torture and Holocaust. I mean, no, seriously, that's the extreme of it. But history and Christianity has shown that. It's too late. That's already on the books.
Well, and I've got a quote here. Let me see if I can find it really quick that goes right along with what you're saying there. This comes from Thomas Merton, who I quote in the book, on letting those we love be perfectly themselves rather than twisting them into our image. We've kind of heard this before, but it's like, why in the world, if I'm totally satisfied, and I do mean satisfied with who I am, if I'm satisfied, that means I'm content. I'm done. I'm complete. I don't need to reach out and try to make you look like me. If I'm trying to make other people look like me, then I'm truly not fully satisfied. I'm thinking I need more.
Right.
And I'm trying to get more out of you versus being content with who I am. So this goes into a really big other area, which I've been trying to share. And a lot of people misinterpret this, misunderstand it, but to learn to live unoffendable, to learn to live detached. And people will get that wrong. They'll think, oh, well, you're just trying to exit out of the world and not give a care. And it's like, no, it's actually a very healthy thing. If I can be detached, if I can live my life detached from things, detached even from people, the ones I love. So hear me out. Detached long enough that I can step back. Now I've got a perspective where I'm not having my chains yanked. I'm not having my ego and my feelings are being yanked on, and I'm being what's the word I'm looking for? Manipulated. I'm not being manipulated by anything, but I'm detached. From this position. Now I choose to step back in with compassion. I choose to step back in with love, and it's not being controlled by something outside of me. I am choosing to step back in. So that's a very powerful position to be in, because at that point of being detached, I'm also unoffendable. You can't throw words at me that are going to hurt me. You can't do something that's going to build up anger. Now, am I there yet? People around me know I'm not. I'm not even close. But I'm much better than I was 20 years ago. I guarantee it.
No, I think you're pretty close, because awareness brings you to that point. Once you know it, right? And there has been, I don't know where all these, this poetry and stuff is coming from that we that ends up on our screen. But it seems that many people are aware of the fact that we are in this transition where we're going to have to let go of even people. People we love, by the way, people we love. And that love will require, not being in the relationship in the same intensity as maybe it was
Yeah.
at another time. And it doesn't mean you don't care or communicate or any of that. It's just that there's a different shifting going on that's hard to put into words, and I'm not doing a good job.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I think you're doing great because that is the challenge is learning to be in relationships that are not attached with strings. I mean, we have been taught such a codependent Hollywood love. It's that mushy stuff that, we've all been programmed to run after.
Right.
But true love isn't doesn't have all the strings attached. True love is actually something we choose to be in and day out, and it doesn't have to. It has nothing to do with the performance of the other person. It has nothing to do if that other person has a bad day and chews me out and says something that they want to hurt me with their words at the moment, and it's like but I can step back and just realize, oh man, something's going on, and I want to be able to help, but at the moment apparently they need to just rail on me, and I'm going to let them do it for the moment.
Yeah.
Now, if that were common, day in and day out, I would probably draw some lines and just say, I don't really need this, and I might move on.
Yeah, yeah. I like in one of your subtitles for in the chapter, unconditional love is not unlimited tolerance. So
Yes,
there does
correct.
come to, I mean, flowing with what you just said, right? There does come that time, and that does not mean that you're not continuing in love. You love yourself well enough to, step out of the line of fire and let them aim somewhere else for a while. This
Yeah,
is it's really okay. It's yeah.
yeah.
I find I think one of the most delightful freedoms that I've had in the last few years coming to where we are today is enjoying other sacred texts.
Yes.
Truly enjoying them. That the word scripture means sacred text.
Mm,
That is we translate that into one book, but
right.
I am so enjoying because there's poetry, there is wisdom, there's the books like Thomas where you get fragments of sentences that all of a sudden
Hmm.
explode on the inside of you, and I love the freedom of that. So that's
Yeah.
one of the things I enjoyed reading this. I don't know where a book becomes a pamphlet or a pamphlet becomes a,
Right, exactly.
but but this book here
Yeah.
for that you address all that.
Well, and I do want to just say this. I mean, you've already said it, but my intent is to get the book out for free.
Yeah.
It's just when you put it on Amazon, they charge me, so I have to charge a little bit. So I'm just charging enough to cover their costs. I think it's 99 cents on Kindle. There's Audible just went up today, so that if you have an Audible account, you might be able to use credits for that. But the other thing, and I'll just say this straight up, just email me at info@gilhodgesfreedom.com and say I would like a free copy, and I'll be more than happy to send you the PDF. And I actually sent you the Word document, which is fine, but I'll send the PDF so that you can have a copy of it for free. And you are free to just send that off to anybody and everybody. Because again, there's a lot of people out there who are wondering, they're on the fence and they're just wondering if it's okay to step out of any religion. But, most of us are probably going to be dealing with Christians, but is it okay to step out?
Right.
And to me, it's a resounding yes. And so, you know, in Seven Day Adventism, Ellen White had a quote. She said, "Get her books out there like the leaves of autumn." And so I'll just take her quote and say, "Get it out there like the leaves of autumn. Just share it everywhere."
Yeah. No. uh Elizabeth just said, did you say it's available on Audible? Yes, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And let me say where else it's available for free on Substack. If you go to my Substack page or account on Substack, every chapter is there. The whole thing is there. Now they're individual, from one week to the next. There's only 8 chapters, so for 8 weeks there's 8 chapters, and in there's a video where I do a recap of that chapter. And then Nicholas, who's on here, he does professional audio. So he did Breaking Your Matrix, and then he also did this book. So that's actually on there as well, and that's what you'll get when you get the the Audible, is you'll get his voice. But it's also already in the Substack. You can click it, you can download it. You can download it and put it on your computer and listen to it whenever you want to. So all that is on Substack and it's free. So you're welcome. And I need to go back and take the PDF now, the full PDF, and put it in there so that you can just download it off of there. Anybody who, if you're at any of the chapters, I need to do that. That's something I haven't done yet. But
Well, what have you been doing with your time? I mean, really.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Belonging and breaking free, the psychology of leaving. Talk to us about that.
That's one of those where you may be in a church or a community or any religious organization, and you find that the community is wonderful there until you start asking the wrong questions or you start visiting some other church or group. It's like you realize very quickly it's very conditional. You're accepted there as long as you stay within the box, stay within the lines. And that's a big, big, powerful tool that the Matrix uses to keep us inside these organizations and keep us inside the Matrix. It's fear that if I ask too many wrong questions, or if I go visit another church, too often, I will be rejected by this group who has accepted me and where I felt like I belonged all these years. All of a sudden now it becomes something that if you do that, you're not going to be accepted anymore. It's like, how far can you go? But to me, if there's any conditions, it's not necessarily the healthiest place to be. If there's any conditions to where you are not allowed to go visit another group, not allowed to ask questions, that's a cult because they're basically keeping you in the box and basically saying, if you don't stay in the box, you're out. Now, there's going to be different levels of that all through any group you're in. Some are going to be ridiculously crazy hard on it. Others may be very lenient on it, which would mean to me that they're a little bit, much more healthy than those that just have rigid rules that you can't go see anybody else or talk to anybody else, or if you can't, don't ask that question and it'll get you banned. But yeah, there is a psychology to it. We all as human beings have this innate need to belong. So we're looking, where is my tribe? Where do I belong? Where can I find community that is healthy? And let me tell you, there's not very many. There's really not very many. I mean, what you're doing here, I love this, but there's not very many that have that type of freedom. Now, I think we probably all know maybe 2 or 3 or 4 different groups that are like this, which is wonderful. But the world out there probably doesn't know of any. Most, I would say, good percentage, 90, 95% probably don't know of any healthy groups.
No. I totally resonate with what you're saying and agree. The sadness for me, having been in some fairly healthy church environments, but you had to break free because of the rules and the laws attached. Inhibited, didn't inhibit you personally, but as a group. I miss the people. I miss the people. We actually started the river during COVID because our groups, the personal groups that we had, changed, and so this was the next best thing to be in there, which is fabulous. But there's nothing like getting together, nothing like walking into the Pearl and hugging you, and
Yes.
know what I mean? It's a whole difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are huggers, but we also are aware that some people aren't. So
That's right. No, I'm using it too as a metaphor, but
yeah,
we're huggers too.
yeah.
Yeah. It
Well, if you want, I'll just run through the chapters really
sure,
quickly,
sure.
and I won't spend a lot of time on them. But if anybody takes a note and says, "Oh, I want to hear more about that," and let me know. But yeah, that first chapter we already talked about, the ego behind religious rules and control, and then how the ego hijacks sacred space. That's chapter one. Chapter two is from childhood programming to spiritual awakening, untethering from installed childhood agreements, and understanding that literally your first religious system that you grow up in is given to you. You did not choose it. There's no way you could have. You were too young to have chosen it. And
Yeah.
so whether it was humanism or baptism, or Baptist, whatever it might have been, you were given, it was given to you. You did not choose it because you were too young to. Then chapter three is unconditional love versus conditional religion. The divine is not keeping score. But that one, it just goes through again how churches are very conditional, for the most part. Religions, I should say, are very conditional. Chapter four, arrogance of exclusivity. That one path claim, claiming that one path is the way is actually going to block you from greater wisdom. So it dumbs down our religious experience, our spiritual experience, when we think that there's only one path and we just disregard everything else as if it's no value or it's demonized. And then chapter five, belonging and breaking free. We just talked about that one. Chapter six, spirituality as a journey of freedom, holding beliefs with open hands. So in other words, even if you do think you know something, or if you're learning something new, even if you're learning something new here, hold it loosely, because you don't know when something greater might come along that would make more sense, and you let that go so you can experience the next, which would be a greater level of truth, potentially, hopefully. And then chapter seven, embracing differences and setting boundaries. That's love with wise protective limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last one is chapter eight, the ultimate step, selfless love, living untethered from the inside. And that's a little bit what we were talking about earlier, just
Right.
learning to love yourself,
Right.
learning to love yourself well.
Gil, that's awesome. I highly, highly recommend that everybody at least, read it themselves if you have time. Did have. I'm going to open up now. No, Gil, forgive me. I'll put you back in the equation. Is there anything you want to say before we do go into conversation with? I really want to honor you in this, to be able to say whatever suits the moment.
I'm good with questions. I prefer questions. I like questions, and even the tough ones. Honestly, if I don't know, I'll just tell you I don't know. Because to me, almost all this stuff, to one degree or another, we don't know. We're simply going with the best evidence that we have, and we're sharing that. Yeah.
And I actually loved what you say, like wherever, whether it's here or there, wherever you're getting information, wherever you're being inspired, hold it with an open hand, because I find things are moving so fast in life that it's together we have the answer. It is not, nobody's got the whole thing. If we
Right.
if we think we have experts, like, wow, just enjoy the journey and hold it loosely. I'm going to put us on the gallery, and one question came in, so this will be your first, and I believe it's from the Dugans. Will you elaborate on agreements?
Okay. Well, so what I just want to honor and thank everybody from my authenticity group that are here tonight, because I think most everybody's here. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. If I'm missing somebody, but yeah, you know, everyone here has been through already the choice group, which is where we talk about agreements. It's the third chapter in that book. But the agreements that we make. Now, let me make sure before I give me a little bit more context when you're asking about agreements, because I can go a lot of different directions with this. So let me make sure I'm going to answer the question that you actually have, rather going off on something else.
Okay. I'm going to turn you over to the person asking the question, is Karen. But I also would like to say, particularly to your group that's joined us, thank you. And please feel free that you are part of the answer here. Like Gil has just said, he doesn't know everything. So if you have an experience, I mean that affectionately, that would add to the question answer time, you are very welcome to do that. Karen, take over.
Thank you, Gil, for sharing your book with us. I read it and I learned a lot. And I was asking the question about agreements because I'd made a note about subconscious agreements. And I just wanted to understand. And I guess in my mind, I would somewhat call it connected to like things that trigger you. But I don't know if that's what you meant.
It can be all of the above. I mean, agreements are actually the very things that we empower to have activity or power in our lives. You know, when we the challenge is we are programmed from conception and we begin to learn things and the brain of a child up until it's 7 years old is in a alpha delta brainwave state, which for humans, adults, that's hypnosis. So a 7-year-old is like under a hypnosis all the way up until they're 7 because they don't have the understanding of the nuances. They don't have the ability to question. They simply receive and they trust that the one that they're getting that information from is trustworthy and that what they're getting is true. It's just true. They don't have any way to decipher that for the most part. Now, obviously, there's some, I'm just throwing one big blanket statement out there, but studies show that that's the way, a 7-year-old mind works, is up to that point. So everything we're feeding to that child, and the child basically is just saying, yes, we're programming that child, and that child, without really knowing it, is agreeing with us. So that's why your first religion is given to you. It's an agreement that you make because it's what you're going, even if you don't like it as a child and you're still going, it's your religion that you've been trained up in. And so part of what in fact, a massive part of what we do in going through choice and breaking your matrix is looking at the agreements, because everything we do is based off of choices and agreements. We make choices usually based off of agreements that are underlying. So I may have an agreement that if that dogs are mean and nasty and evil and they're gonna bite me. I may have an agreement with that because maybe at 5 years old I got attacked by a dog. So now I've got this agreement that I've made. I've empowered it, and now every dog I see, I am full of fear.
Yeah.
I am full of fear. So until I choose to deal with that agreement and come out of agreement with it, and it may take layers, obviously, of, coming out of agreement with that. But, same thing with religion. We've got zillions of layers. I'm a firm believer that every single one of us could fly, walk through walls, raise the dead without any hiccups at all. But we have been programmed to believe that we can't. We've seen people fall and hurt themselves, so we believe that gravity is real and therefore we can't fly. But Jesus did. We believe that we can't walk through walls because the last time we ran into one unexpectedly, it hurt. And so we got all this programming. But as I do believe that as we work at each agreement level and we continue to come out of agreement with those things, that we can break the matrix as Jesus did, walking through walls and walking on water, that all of that is possible. But the agreements that we have that were programmed into us by the matrix, by the world, Jesus said he overcame the world, which to me, he overcame the matrix, the programming. And he stepped outside of that and beyond it and became who he was actually supposed to be. And we all each have that opportunity too.
That's right. Some of them are so subtle. They are the
Major.
you can't don't go outside if it's cold with wet hair. You just washed your hair.
Mhm.
You're going to get a cold. Don't
Yeah.
in a draft. You're going to get a cold. Don't. There's all the they're so subtle. They're not even truths, right? They're just goofy. Yet they trigger us.
Well,
Subtle thing. I love that you brought up animals. My mother she walked in a house one time, and it was one of these old houses where a staircase came down right to the front door. There was a Siamese cat sitting on the post who jumped at my mother as she walked in. From that moment on, she was not only frightened of them, she hated them. Now, she never told us to be afraid of cats or have dislike for them at all. But do you know, I don't have fear, but I don't love cats. I have no reason not to, right? They're cute little
yeah.
things and I can intellectualize it, but the inside of me, uh, is different. And I'm not proud to admit that, but that's one of those subtle things you talk about. Put that into a religious church setting, and it's on steroids, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Hmm.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to just say, if anybody in my group wants to
Yeah.
pipe in and share some of the stuff that we're talking about, because I mean, we've all talked about agreements and so forth. And yes, they're so subtle. And that's why it is kind of a work of a lifetime, because, you know, if you're going to break the matrix, not only do you have to get through your matrix stuff, I mean, you then there's all the physics, laws of physics, Newtonian laws, you name it, all the laws that we see work every day that we have been trained with through experience. We don't have to understand how they work. We just see it. But even like you were saying, your mom being so afraid of cats that epigenetically,
Yeah.
there's a whole other thing. It happens. It does get passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah. Well, actually, I would say it's genetically, not epi means above, that I can come
Mhm.
out of that, well, and I have. Uh, but you're right. Our genetics does uh, change us, and
Mhm.
generationally. One thing I've learned is don't beat yourself up over it. Don't give in to it, but don't beat yourself up. It is what it is, what it is.
100%.
Carry on. Carry on.
Well, I'll be really vulnerable here. Um, for the last 2 to 3 weeks, and those close to me, Nicholas and Sandy and Jeanette have seen me. I might not have talked about it, but it's just I got hammered, just like one emotional gut punch after another, like 5 or 6 times that just really took me down. And it's like I was in a tailspin. It's like I know what to do, I know what to do, but I wasn't able to do it. I know I got to choose to start, getting back on my feet. And I mean, I just went through it and went through it and went through it. And all I could do was just wait. That was the best advice I had for myself, was I needed to wait. Wait on the Lord. This too will pass. Because, I was getting hit enough that it was one of those places where I'm thinking, life is over. I can't do this. It's over. It's done. There's no hope. And yet the other side of me was saying, just hold on. This too will pass. You'll get your feet back underneath of you. And the thing is, this happened to me all the time when I was, before I was 50, before I started actually learning this stuff. It happened consistently all the time. I would be dragging my butt around because one little thing would throw me off, and I'd be off for weeks. Just one little thing. Well, it took 5 or 6 big ones to take me down this time, and it was only for a couple weeks, and I'm still recovering to some degree. But the thing that is amazing is to realize, you know, if you compare this to working out in the gym, when do you really, really grow? And if you've worked out in the gym, the place that you grow the most is when that muscle is pushed to absolute 100% failure. Then it's like you're wiped out. You can't even hardly move. But give it a little bit of time, the muscle recovers and it says, "Oh hell no, we got to be better than that. We're going to get stronger. We're going to be in a better place when we come back." And then you're able to do even more.
Yeah.
So in the spiritual journey, it's so similar. And
Yeah.
so for me, just to be contemplating that, it's like, man, I got hammered. I hit the wall. I went to failure to where I was bombing on everything I teach and train. I was bombing. And yet it's like, okay, just wait. And as the light begins to come back and you begin to walk and step into that again, it's like I'm excited to see, okay, so what level am I going to be at now? And I feel a good sense of what it is. And I might share that a little bit later, but I'll stop there. We got a hand up.
No, I appreciate you said that. Thank you, Brenda. I'm just going to get to you in a minute. Do you know that authenticity is considered the highest frequency? When we get, that's where I'm hearing you speak from right now. So I just believe the miraculous is on the way. It's happening. It's happening. Brenda.
Yeah, I really appreciate that too, Gil, what you said. I think you and me and a lot of people have just seems like going through a lot right now. But I kind of had the same overload, and like you guys are talking about agreement, but when I kind of came down to the thing that was like, wait, I was walking from the kitchen to the living room and I was on thinking about something and something happened in my body or whatever. I don't remember. And I heard the Lord say, that wasn't my voice. I didn't tell you that. And it just kind of just was an aha, like, wait a minute. That's it. And I had to like reprogram myself through the week and everything I was doing and helping people and doing this and doing that. And it's like, wait, I have to shut off everything. I have to turn everything off. I have to quit answering phone calls. And I need to sit down, be still, and say, Father, what are you saying? And what, and it was just like, what is the Lord telling me this? Or is all these people screaming at me and I'm starting to agree with some of it and getting attacked in a lot of different areas. And when I did shut everything off and turn everything off, and just was still, I could hear the Lord just silent, quietly speaking and saying, yeah, you were agreeing with a lot of things. I wasn't saying that to you. So I just really appreciate everything you said, because I've just kind of had the last couple weeks have been the same for me. So thank you so much for that.
And I wanted to share that for encouragement, because like yourself and so many others, it's like we can know all the right stuff to do, and and I teach it because I want to learn it better and I want to go deeper. I love teaching it and sharing it. Doesn't mean I've perfected it. Anybody around me knows I haven't, but just to realize that when you do hit the wall, it's like we know. What I love is everybody on here that has been in my group, I can look back with them, 1 year, 2 years ago, and it's like there is such massive growth in that 1 year, 2 year. Now, if you just look back to last week, I'm going to say, oh man, I failed. I was totally down and out. This isn't working. But no, it's getting through that and realizing to just have that hope and knowledge that when you get through that dark period, it's up and down, up and down. When you get through it, just have some expectancy, not an expectation, but an expectancy that better things are coming because you made it through and you used the tools to step up and get through and get out of that.
That's right. I think that is also what you just experienced is a true reset, because without failure, right? You're not resetting it. So
yeah,
and it's always for a reason. You'll look back and say, "Aha! Now I get it. Where was I?" Yeah. Awesome. Janine and Kelly, welcome.
Hey, thank you. We are here from Gil's group as well. Yeah, I was just sitting with this listening because when you start talking about the programming or the agreements, because you could use either language, it can go really deep. It can go really deep. And the stuff that Gil is talking about right here, you start to have now, maybe not like totally hit the wall, but but you can have some pretty intense responses inside of your being just based on the programming. And moments when you're thinking it just feels like you're losing it, maybe, just like I don't even know which way is up, and you just have to stay with it. For me, one of those has been, growing up in a home where there was a parent that was violent and unpredictable. And one of the programs that I received really young was that it was somehow my responsibility to keep this person calm, to be responsible for their experience of life so everyone else would be safe. And even the flip side of that, because that was my father, my mom being super depressed, and I was responsible for keeping her from giving up. And after sitting through, because we've been through choice and we're in the Breaking Your Matrix. And this last week, I ended up going to sit with my mom, who is once again very depressed. And I could feel in my gut for a couple weeks ahead parts of me that were dreading this, that would have done anything to avoid going to sit with her, because the fear is that I can't still take care of me and love her. The truth is, though, I ended up sitting with her, and it's funny because your mind will accuse you of being detached, because I didn't spin around in my head with trying to fix her or trying to figure out what would make her feel better, all of those things. I did not spin out in all of that. I just stayed with myself in the core of my own being, continuing to listen to the flow of the spirit, and I sat with her. I just sat with her. And it was an interesting experience. I got to watch all the parts of me that thought I ought to be doing something. I ought to be saying something. I ought to be fixing things, like maybe I should distract her, something. And we just sat together. And after a few days, for the amount of time of my visit, she was kind of perking up. But even that, it's not my responsibility. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had to look at that and go, okay, but I'm not attaching my well-being to that.
Yeah.
That isn't me. That, like, she's great, and that I'm glad that she's perking up. I can now go home and let her live her life. I can live mine. I don't have to drown in all of this.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So that's another place where it shows up, that it wouldn't even feel like an agreement necessarily, but it is, because I believed for a very long time that that was my responsibility, and that was what love looked like, to basically abandon myself for someone else.
Yeah. And I want to make a clarification here, that there's a healthy detachment and an unhealthy detachment.
Right.
We talk about going through a traumatic experience where we detach, and we get a little part of us that detaches, and
Right.
you need to later integrate or something.
Right.
And that can have,
Yeah,
that's,
not disassociation,
yeah.
but
So
just not being attached to, like, my
exactly.
well-being is attached to whether
Exactly.
or not she is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all I want to do, is make that distinction for everybody, because we're not talking about that. We're talking about being able to be detached from the idea that if I can't make you feel better, I'm going to feel bad. I haven't done my job. I'm not a good person. No. To be able to
Yeah.
be detached, and just to be able to, like you did, you went there, you chose to go there, and you chose to sit with her, even though all this background stuff was going on, and it was there kind of knocking at the door, but you chose to
Yes, it
say
was.
no and stay detached and be there in love.
Just to love her, but not to drown in her.
Yeah. It's good.
Well, I heard when you were speaking, just a lot of processing and a lot of maturing to get to this point. It didn't happen overnight, did it?
Yeah.
No. Wow.
No, it did not. Those are lifelong patterns.
Yeah.
But it's been so powerful to have the tools to even be able to step back and have enough capacity to observe these things and not be run by them and overwhelmed by them. This was a big one for me, because space of, yeah, well, family of origin, right? That's probably one of the biggest and fastest triggers for most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. It's actually very helpful. Thank you. Are you an oldest daughter?
I am actually the youngest daughter.
The youngest.
That's
Wow.
for, yeah.
Congratulations. Doing a great job. Sandy.
Oh, yeah. So many good things being shared. And just kind of pick up on some of that and about having grace for ourselves. We're in the midst of these things that are happening. And um, I think sometimes when you are in a position where, like, maybe you're in a leadership position or people are looking to you, you're coaching or running groups or however you do, sometimes there can be an additional layer of like, I've got to get it right because I can't mess up. I'm teaching and I'm sharing, and there can be kind of that added layer of pressure to make sure that we're getting it right. And I heard somebody say this years ago, and I thought it was really good. They said that, yeah, sometimes we're going to mess up, and sometimes we're going to be like, wow, that is not what I share. That's not what I teach. And I just reacted out of something. And the way he explained it is like, yeah, you might be able to get a snapshot. You might be able to get a picture of me like messing up. But if we looked at things more in a video, like if I looked at the course of the last few years and we look at the progress and how far we've come, it's a whole different picture, you know. And sometimes we focus in on that still frame of where we really messed up, and we really beat ourselves up because we have that picture of, man, I really screwed up with that one, versus like if we were able to look at something like a transition over time, we would see this massive shift. And I think it would, most of the time, it would encourage us greatly to see how far we've come, versus focusing in on that, that maybe that time that we stumbled. So learning to have grace for ourselves on that journey. And then also, I appreciate what you said about authenticity. That's something that I've really been focused in on the last couple of years too. And like what you said about authenticity being the highest vibe. And I remember thinking, oh, well, I've always thought love would be the highest, but then when I started kind of deep diving more into authenticity being the highest vibe, it occurred to me, I was like, yeah, because authenticity is aligned with truth.
That's right.
That is why authenticity is such a high vibe, is because when you're authentic, you're aligning with truth. And that is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is so powerful. And then the other thing, really quick, about as far as vibe, I've always been like, oh, we want to raise our vibe, raise our vibe. And I'm all about that. If you knew me, you'd know I have all kinds of things, from, frequency wellness devices to, essential oils to just you name it. And so I love doing that. But like I've explained to some of my clients, I'll date myself a little bit, but if you think about when your radio is on and you would get a little off the station and you would get all of this static. So you don't turn the volume up, you tune in. So I think about that sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to raise the vibe, but sometimes we're just turning the volume up, but we're not in resonance. And so coming back to center and finding our true resonance, which I think is in alignment with authenticity, is really how we do raise our vibe. It's more about resonance than it is about high vibe necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to add to that too, just talking about the vibes, if you look at the hierarchy of emotional charts, it's love, joy, peace, authenticity. But you have to have love in order to open the gate to step into joy, which once you're stepping into full joy and understanding who you are, you find peace. And the deeper you go into that peace, the more truth you find, because it begins to open up to you just, your reality in God. And that is where you find the fullness of truth. But you got to love yourself first. And then that spreads out to everybody else. And that's everybody wants to skip it. If I had a big frustration, my biggest pet peeve is as a human race, we want to chase everything that love will bring you, but we don't want to focus on learning to love well. So we want to skip the step of building the foundation of love, and we want to go chase after all the things that love would bring. Signs, wonders, miracles, relationships. It's like, well, love yourself first. Love yourself well, not egocentrically, not becoming a narcissist, but loving yourself well. If you're loving yourself well, you will become more and more humble. You will grow in humility if you're actually learning to love yourself well.
Yeah. That's so good. Actually, you guys put it together wonderfully. I appreciate all your comments, Sandy. They help, and they're the building blocks for us, eh? Very, very good. And, and Gil, you're right. When you said something, Sandy, I wrote it down here. Or I didn't write that down the thing. I wrote down what I was thinking. Forgive me. But so often when we're in a place, like we do something wrong or we get become self-conscious about something, we think the whole world is looking at that snapshot.
Yeah.
When you said the word snapshot, I thought,
Yeah.
we use that as a free frame and we think everybody in the world and oh my gosh, I am the scum. And the real truth about all that is nobody was watching and nobody cared because they're thinking about themselves.
I have that conversation with my kids so many times because, especially kids growing up and even like early 20s, you're getting out in the world and kind of taking some hard knocks and, maybe dealing with some insecurity about what people think about this or that. And I told my kids that recently. I was like, look, it's a big deal because it's you.
Yeah.
And you feel like everybody was looking and everybody was like, oh, I can't believe they did that. But so most people are thinking more about themselves and what they're doing, and they're not really paying attention to what you're doing. And it helps to take some of that insecurity away. And then like Kelly was saying, I wanted to address that because I so resonate with what she was sharing, is that if you did grow up in an environment where you felt like you had to be the peacekeeper, you felt like you had to try to keep everybody happy, you don't mess up, don't rock the boat, don't, it can be such a challenge. I really feel like the breaking your matrix is such an important part of being able to love yourself, because when you feel responsible for all the people around you and whether they're happy and all of that, there's hardly any bandwidth left to think about yourself. Like she said, you end up abandoning yourself so that you can keep some level of perceived peace with other people, and that is exhausting. In flower essence therapy, we call that more like an agrimony personality, and it is like people who they want to have the smile and the happy face and they want to present all the good things, but inwardly like there's so much angst of trying to make sure everything's okay, and putting out the fires and all of that. And wow, if you've ever done that in your life and that is your struggle, it is challenging. And so I believe that breaking your matrix is so foundational to being able to love yourself well.
Mm-hmm. 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 Perfect. I love it. We could stay on that and just expand for the rest of the night. Thanks, Sandy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Where are we, Gil? Is there something that is on your heart in the middle
Again, I just, if anybody has any more questions, I see that Carrie put something in there. She says, I was thinking the narrow way is in the unknowing. And there, I'm not sure if I understand your statement, but what pops in my head is most people on the planet, because they are so insecure, they don't love themselves, that stepping into uncertainty and stepping into the unknown is just worse than any pain that they might be in. They would rather stay in the pain that they're in rather than step into the unknown. And so, yes, it is a narrow path. It is a path that very few people are willing to take, but it is also the path to healing. It is the path to growing in authenticity. Because let me tell you, moving toward authenticity is absolutely stepping out of the box that's been made for you.
Yeah.
And it's challenging, but it's worth it. I guarantee you it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, authenticity also, you have to move out of ego and into your sacred self. And it's kind of a nice place to land.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Kathy or Eric?
Yeah, hi, it's Eric. Not Kathy. I'm just wondering, Gil, does your book talk about, when it talks about freedom from religion, do you talk about like God being in control and God being sovereign and is God in control and things like that?
I love that question. That goes down a whole nother road for me. Actually gets into what I feel my breakthrough is getting me closer to. But so three things that I feel like if we don't understand these three things about God, then it's going to totally undermine the rest of what we want to do in trying to be authentic. But if you don't believe that God is all powerful, and if you don't believe that he's all loving and all knowing, then you're basically, how can you trust a God that is not all powerful? How can you fully trust a God who's not all powerful? And especially, how can you fully trust a God who's not all loving? So now here's the brutal honesty of this whole thing is we don't know. We don't know. No. Now we have experiences that give us tons of evidence that we want to move that way, and that's the right thing. And I look at the spiritual leaders all down through history. They all came to the same conclusion that God is love, unconditional, pure love. So I'm pretty convinced that he is love. But if someone's been told that he's this mean ogre in the sky keeping score, then it's going to be really hard to trust him. A lot of the exercises that we step into with learning to live from expectancy versus expectation, learning to let go and flow, learning to live from an eternal perspective. These things can't really be done if you don't believe that God is those three things, because it will undermine. It's like trying to go to sleep in a cave where in that cave somewhere close to you is a venomous snake. You're going to be awake all night. You're going to be, on alert because you don't know when that thing might come close or want to strike. That's the way most of us have been raised in the church, is to believe that there's this God that if you get it wrong, he's going to get you. And that's just
So sorry, no, continue. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. I was
So
going to
so there's the sovereignty, there's the control, and there's the love. So where does the three, can you just repeat the three that you were saying, and where are those two in there? Sorry, I'm a little lost. I don't know. Apologize.
Well, I think you might be getting at choice. Where does choice fit in? Where does that come in? But I do believe that God is absolutely sovereign. Now, there's a difference between God won't and God can't. That's a big one to understand. A lot of people will say God can't, and I will say that's a lie. God can do whatever he wants. He created the entire universe. He's sovereign. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But will he? No, he limits himself. And so that's where I stand on that. That there's things that there's a difference between he can't and he won't. And so
Yeah.
when people say that God can't do something, I'm like, no, he can do whatever he wants. But you're right. I don't think he will. I don't think he will. He won't do that because he's a God of love. And so you could say, well, that's part of his character, so he can't. Okay, well, we can argue semantics, but
No, I'm not
yeah.
arguing semantics.
So
That's not what this is about.
yeah, so I absolutely believe he's sovereign and he's in control. And now, does he control every aspect of our life? And this is a big long one that I wrote a whole book on it, but the idea of choice. Choice is the two-edged sword that gives us the ability to truly love and for there to be true love in the universe. Because if there's no choice, then you're really not loving, you're just programmed and you're a slave.
Right.
But the other side of that same blade of choice is you also then have the right and the ability to do evil. You have the right, and this is what I wrote in the book, is you have been given the right and the ability to reject God forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's your right and it's your ability. It's your choice. He gave it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But will you? That's the bigger question. Because his relentless love will pursue you through eternity.
Yep.
And I do believe that he does that until he wins you, but he will not violate your choice.
Yeah, I agree this the same way. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
I mean, I don't want to pigeonhole you into something. So if you got more
No, and I
questions,
don't
I'd
want to
love to hear them.
pigeonhole you either. I just wanted to have a little bit of conversation about it, and I really appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't mind pigeonholing.
All right.
But I won't.
Oh.
No, but you see, my favorite saying these days is you can't be a little bit pregnant. So we are one with God. So when it comes to understanding that, one thing to understand who God is, what and where and when and all that about his character, and everything about his character is right. But we are one in him and with him. And when that any decision and choice that we make separate from who he is, then is our choice to move away, because he never will. But my encouragement to everyone is to inspire you to have a mindset to oneness and into the I am. So when you speak those words of I am, you don't separate yourself from the great I am that we are. Have I made everything perfectly muddled?
That's
No,
a
it's
whole
good.
other
And it will bring
perspective.
me
It's
around to
fantastic.
something.
Okay, rescue me, Janine.
Okay, no pressure.
Okay.
No, but actually I was just about to follow that. All flowed beautifully because in this area of speaking of choice, that plays into what I shared. Not only do I have a choice and I'm being equipped to see the programming, my mom has not been as equipped. However, if I'm sitting in the oneness and I recognize she is a part of me, I have grace for the parts of me that I have seen that didn't get it, right? I didn't get it until I got it. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I recognized that if I were constantly cajoling her or trying to fix things, I'm honestly dismissing her perspective. I'm shutting her down. I mean, there were a whole bunch of things that went with that where I was like, okay, that's not love for her either. Which I know that can I know it could feel like you should be doing something to fix someone who is depressed. She is where she is, and it has been a lifelong thing. And I had to learn kind of where I end and where she begins, and that we're one. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
So that was a part of it, was acknowledging her right to choose as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Letting go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. That's actually a very good rescue.
It's good.
What did you write down, Gil?
Well, so the thing that I've been recognizing, this actually happened, it began, I should say, when Tim and Brenda were here and they did the road. It was just like, I was not expecting to get a road done. That was not, I had an expectancy of good things, that they're going to come and so forth. But that one honestly was way off my radar. And it was one of the big ones that it's like, whoa, we had, been quoted anywhere from $15,000 to $23,000 to do the road. It was like, okay, that's going to be a ways down before we get that one done. And then all of a sudden it's done. And and so I'm like, well, okay. And I've had this concept and I actually share it and teach it, but I actually was challenged to step further into it. And then even with what's been happening lately, I feel challenged to even step further and further into this. And it has to do with the oneness because and it has something to do with what I said earlier too about when people talk about co-creating, generally they're talking about trying to get God to come alongside them to help them with their plan, versus in true oneness,
Yeah.
when I've been truly able to let go. So I got all these plans, all these ideas, you know, and I hope and believe that God planted them here. And if that is true, then I can let them go. I can let them go into his timing and his way of getting it done. And so for me, it's stepping into this place where I am now in that oneness, hopefully going deeper into alignment with what he is doing and letting go more and more of what I think I want. Now, again, there's a crazy little nuance in there. The balance of, well, did God put this in me and that's it? But I can tell you, I can mess things up pretty easily by saying, it's like getting a prophetic word and then going out and trying to make it happen the way you want it to happen versus letting it unfold in the way that God intended it to happen. And that to me is the difference, is being able to let go and live in peace and live in rest while I simply watch as things unfold. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not doing anything. In fact, it probably means I'm going to have to be bolder in stepping into the stuff that I see him doing when I don't see a way through.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Intention without expectation, in the way that we have understood that, is how I think of what you just said. Because once we can I think our desires are in him because he's in us and we're in him. And nothing is impossible. When we release that desire, we release it into that field of all possibilities, that it already exists. So the best thing we can do is just be grateful for knowing that, letting go, and that's the magnet that brings it to us.
So I think we talked about this the last time I was on here, because dealing with energies and the studies I've done into understanding energy and how energy flows, is that when I desire something, I want something, I need something, those are actually negative things, because it's telling the universe I don't have them. I don't have it, therefore I desire it. I don't have it, therefore I want it. I don't have it, therefore I need it. And so I'm giving out a negative vibe toward that. So the road, let's just use that as an example. I really wanted the road done. I really did. From the moment I moved in, it's like, this road is horrible. I mean, you can't, it's like a 5 mile an hour limit because you're going to lose your car down a pothole somewhere. But, it's like I wanted the road done. I really desired to have it done. But over time, I gave up that. Now, whether it was in despair or what, I kind of gave up on that idea. But what that does, when we let go of that negative energy that we're putting out there, I desire, I want it, I need it. Now, a lot of people will push through that. They have willpower and they will push through it, and they may get it and they may wish they didn't get it after they got it. But when we release it, what it does is, as if it creates a vacuum in the energy field, creates a vacuum in the energy field. And now, because you have let it go and you are aligning with who you believe God says you are, you're aligning with his plan, then it's the flow in let go and flow. I teach this in the course. The acronym for flow is frequency. Get into the frequency of where you can hear God. You're going to slow down to a pace of peace. Frequency. The L stands for illuminate. When you're aligned with who he says you are, he's going to illuminate you. You will become the light of the world because he's going to illuminate you when you're aligned with who he says you are versus trying to do your own thing or perform what the world's told you to do. And then the O is for openness. Once you are illuminated, it's like, hey, your neon sign is on, you're open for business. And the universe sees that and begins to bring you the things that you need in order to do what you're here to do. And it's no striving. There's no fighting to get the stuff you need in order to do what you're here to do. The universe will bring it to you. And then the wake, the W is wake. It's the ripple effect that you will have in the universe when you are being you and not trying to be somebody else. So that's flow. And so when I let go of my own stuff and the own thing, and usually my own stuff is not my own stuff. It's what I've been programmed with from the world, from family, from culture, from church, from work, whatever it may be. I'm influenced by all this programming, and I think I have my definition of success. It's like everybody's chasing after their definition of success. Well, stop a minute. Where'd that definition come from? Is that even yours? or was it given to you by your family, by your church, your culture? Where did it come from? What are you chasing? Why are you chasing it? Many of us will find that, wow, we can step back and relax and slow down because that definition of success that I had, whoa, that was the big corporate, giant thing. And I like what I'm doing now. This is peaceful. I love what I'm doing now. I just get to be me.
Yeah. And we like you being you, so that's good.
I'm
That,
glad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's cool. I hear what you're saying, and certainly agree with it. I always like it when somebody wraps different words around things.
Mm.
One thing we said, I hope that God won't do anything that He doesn't want to. He actually does. There's a scripture, and I don't have the address, so I'm going to say it in the Helen version, where the people were pestering God for something and that He didn't want them to have, and it says, and God gave it to them, but it brought leanness to their soul.
Yeah.
So there is a caution to it, to us to be in the oneness, know who you are in Him, and He in you. It eliminates that. It really does, and it gives you confidence in being God.
Yeah.
Do you know you are God's? It actually gives you that. I don't know, puts an iron rod up your spine, and you just stand a little straighter and says, no, I know.
It's good.
Yeah, Kathy.
Sorry to disappoint Eric again. I was watching you on YouTube, Gil, and I've heard it again today that here live, that you're willing to give away the book. Like how are you able to do that? How are you able to create a book and then give it away? Do you know what I mean?
That's the
If
caveat.
you don't have a road, which is a desire, how can you do that?
Well, as I mentioned, if you go to Amazon to get it, you'd have to pay something for it. I don't have any hard copies.
I'm planning to pay, so I'm just curious, like how you don't have to tell us, but that's incredible.
Well, again, it's just my heart is to get it out, period. And if I could get it for zero on Amazon and you could get a book in your hands for free, I would love that. Unfortunately, I can't do that part, but I can get you a PDF and you can print it off.
No, I'd
And
rather buy it, but I'm just wondering how can you afford to do that?
oh,
Anyway,
that
like you
is
have a
that
side job or something or what?
that's an interesting thing. And maybe
And
Nicholas
if you don't want to
can answer
say,
that.
that's absolutely fine. It's just because I have you live, I just thought I'd ask you.
That is a good question. And we honestly we're living more and more on trust and faith. But we have bills to pay here. There's some money coming in. The courses bring in some money. There's people that donate, and usually around, we run a pretty lean ship, honestly. And it's like when money comes in, somebody might make a larger donation, then that money goes toward, doing something that needs to be done. We got to build a bathroom down at the
Yeah.
barn and all that, different things like that. But otherwise, we got enough. It's very, very tight, but there's just enough coming in. But the thing is, the bottom line is, I don't want to let that dictate to me how I live my life. Finances, it's one of the biggest egregores, and I address this in Breaking Your Matrix. It's one of the biggest egregores that we as humanity have empowered, and I'm actually making an effort to step out of that egregore so it doesn't have power over me. And yet we're still in the world and we got to play the game. So I just trust God that He will have people that are generous that will come and, you know,
I,
take care of the
I,
things that we need taken care of.
yeah. Part of my comment now would be, well, you're amazing. Like to be able to do that and to have that example in the world is just amazing. So, to hear you're not a multimillionaire behind the scenes, I just say, wow, Thanks for being a part of our conscious, being part of me.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, I
Thank
can't
you
let
very much.
that sit. You are a multimillionaire. You are in him, and all possibilities are in you. You have no lack. You are no lack, and you are doing what your heart says to do, which is his heart. How good is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. And you know, I did come to a place, and I can tell you the date, I mean, or the year 2017 was the year that I broke out of the finances having such a control over me. Literally, if the finances were down, I was in depression. If they were up, I was okay. I broke out of that in 2017 when I came to that conclusion, Helen, that I have all the money in the world. I have all the money I need. If I don't have money for something I want to do right now, well, then I need to let that go because it's not meant to happen at this moment. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just means, well, money's not there at the moment, but when it does come, we'll get it done.
It's there.
It's
Exactly.
always,
How rare is that? How rare is that? I'm going to do this instead of putting the clap raising up. I'm just going to do that. That is amazing. So few people like that. Thank you.
thank you.
Pat,
Okay, can you hear me?
we can. Hi.
My question's for Janine. Yes, I have a son that has a lot of mental issues, and I want to understand the part you said because you were really ministering to me. The part where you said you didn't, your mother and you were beside each other, but you're not, and I wasn't quite clear how you were saying that. You know, I know you're not responsible for her, but what was the actual terminology you gave for that?
Do you mean when I said that I'm with her, but I'm not drowning in her?
No, that part I got. Because
Okay.
I really related to that. But the part just near the end when you were beside her and
Well, just recognizing that she is where she's at. That isn't my responsibility, but I can honor her where she's at and not dismiss, because I would find myself trying to talk her out of what she's feeling, what she's thinking, how she sees things, getting frustrated with her for that, and not respecting her right to choose how she's going to see things, how she's going to. And I've actually lived with depression myself. So it isn't from a place of not understanding that, you know, but just recognizing that love, actually loving her, meant accepting her where she's at and loving her exactly as she is without demanding that she change something so I can be comfortable.
that's very powerful.
Very powerful.
And I just want to share a little bit more on that as well, because with what Janine's saying, this really takes it to the fullest extreme, I think, um, of just being able to honor people where they're at. And I have some good friends that several years ago, their son committed suicide. And to me, the beautiful thing in all that, they were able to move through it without demonizing things, without the horrific, stuff that we normally go through. And they were, I mean, it was painful. They had to go through the grief and the loss, but they honored his decision. They were able to step into a place and understand that he was in pain and that his decision was to go, and that there's none of this crap about going to hell or any of that. But he was in so much pain, he chose to go. They really honored that decision. And so that to me is another example of being there, although he wasn't there anymore, but they did not take that on themselves, because I know that they did everything they could they did everything they could to help him because they knew he was struggling with depression. And I had even tried to talk to him at one point as well, just trying to help him see things differently. But they honored that decision and they didn't take it on themselves.
Yeah, I had a brother that took it.
Gil,
I understand exactly what you're saying about that part. But I really, Jeanette, I don't know if this is a good way to do it, but when my son, talks about his illness and and it's a heavy cross. It's a heavy cross. I try to, say, yeah, that must be really hard for you. It must be really difficult, for you. But I screw up a lot, I'll tell you. And then sometimes he makes me so mad. And then I respond, right? Like reacting. But I'm moving in it, like that picture of the video. I forget who said that. Sandy, I believe. And that's a good place to go because you just, if you saw yourself in the other spot and now you see yourself in there, it's encouraging because otherwise you get very discouraged. But thank you. You really ministered to me for my son. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Well, you know what? You two just ministered to me too personally. We lost our an ex-son-in-law to a suicide this year, and that one's been hard. The daughter and he divorced, and stayed friends. You know the old saying. But we said to him when they divorced, you guys might be divorcing, we're not divorcing you. And Ed in particular is really good at keeping relationships going like that. But when he made that choice, Gil, you nailed it for me. When you said that, I came free from that, from being mad and saying, why didn't he call us? Why, all that. We still talk about it, and I realize there's that edge of anger because I think I could have fixed it. You know that, right? All that. But that's so true. That you just brought it to a higher place in truth. And we do live our own choices, and we sometimes die in our choices.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. Wow. Wow, team. Well, look what happens when you bring two teams together, right? Wow. Maybe we can do that again a few months down the road when Gil writes the next book.
I was thinking I was done with Breaking Your Matrix. But this one I felt like it had to come out. But anyway,
well,
I just want to thank all of you. It's been a pleasure to be on here. And Elizabeth and Todd, good to see you guys. Blessings. Have to catch you one of these times when I'm back in Austin. I don't get there very often now, but I'd love to see you sometime.
That would be awesome.
Good to see everyone.
Gil, I've just been sitting here just so grateful for you. Like everything that has come to you, you just pour out so freely. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see and to witness, we all are. And hearing everybody share, there's just so much fruit. And I love how you like we know there's such an awakening and there's such a call, to know who I am within. But I love how you, from day one, have been like, this is how we're going to do it, step by step. I mean, I started with Ultimate Impact with you, how to just step in the spirit. And it's just been an amazing thing, just witnessing how you just freely give and what you've just been through. I was telling Todd, I was like, of course you're going to be fully tested on what you are teaching others, and I just like what Helen was saying, I know through this that it's just the strength is, is rising up like these fire wings behind you.
Yeah, it's my Phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's just really ministering to me, everything that's been shared. I'm just so excited about where we are and learning, okay, this is how we do it. We're unwrapping ego, we're rising out of these wraps that we've been in, who we thought we were, and letting this, light shine. And yeah, it's just exciting. And I just thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's an honor to she said it, everything you get, you just let flow freely from you, quite literally.
Yeah.
Right, Eric? And it's just an honor. And I got to tell you, just what you just finished with, your story of your friend's son. I'll tell you what, that's worth the ticket right there, because that unlocked something in me. And I don't have that closest story, but it really just, something just broke off in a way that I don't even know what it is yet. It's I'll quote Bob Phillips, "Don't you love the way God does you and then later tells you what he did?"
That's right.
Yeah.
So when I figure out what he did, I'll let you know, but it was big.
Maybe like a mental lock, you know?
I have no mental locks.
We'll let you know when you're fine, Todd. We'll let you know.
But no, that was it was great. And what everybody shared was very meaningful. And I got to tell you, I really do identify with not being able to love yourself first and trying to serve and love other people.
It's exhausting.
And, oh my God, there's a lot of zeitgeist on the internet about men suffering quietly in desperation. And that's because they think they're supposed to provide, they're supposed to do, and they're supposed to hold it in, whatever. And that's all that programming, right?
Yeah.
That, in a way, hey, there's a pill you can take, and you don't have to stay there. So I had to see it that way first to hear, and then hear it from you tonight. Just, it's a journey. But I actually do get it. If I'm down on myself and I'm loving someone else, it just exhausts and takes. And I don't want to call it disingenuous, but it doesn't have the same impact when I'm just being myself. And somebody just says, that was amazing. And I don't even know what I did.
It's interesting. I could go off and way down that road. It's really good, but yeah, because if you're not able to love yourself, I mean, because if you're loving yourself, you're basically loving God, because you're loving what He created, you're loving what He did when you love yourself, and when you're loving yourself and you're loving God, then that just fills you up and it flows naturally. Otherwise, it's manufactured. We're trying to manufacture a performed love so we look good, even though we aren't even really loving ourselves and we haven't just don't have it to give.
Yeah.
So I just tell people focus on learning to love yourself first, because everything else will fall into place. If you truly love yourself and you're growing in humility, everything else will fall in place. It's amazing. Yeah.
We're with you. We're with you, Gil. Thank you. Eric, Kathy.
Very quick. I know it's my third time, probably not allowed. It's strike three and I'll be out. Don't worry. I came home from work today. I'll make it quick. I went onto YouTube. I wanted to get a bit of a primer on your new book. Google doesn't know about your new book initially on my first search. And they bring up, of course, the last book that I bought when you were on last time. I'll buy this next one. What's your next book? Like, I couldn't believe you had another book out when the last time you had just had that one out. So anyway, that's my question.
What is this? I'm sorry, what's the next book?
Yeah.
What's the work? Something percolating in you. It's going to come out. I'm just wondering what's percolating right now. I'll know before you which book it is.
I got a feeling it's going to have more to do with how altruism and that's Nicholas's word. In my book choice, I've got the chapter on giving and receiving, but we're practicing it the best that we can, and we're finding out how difficult it is. And yet I'm a firm believer in this. And I don't know if I'm going to end up making a book out of it or not, but it is really a focus right now on understanding how do we live in an environment where we can truly be altruistic and I can give to you whatever you want or need that I have and not have any strings attached or expectation that you should give me anything back.
Right.
But out of true true love, I just give it because I love and I just trust the universe that God is going to give me what I need when the time comes. And that's what we're living to that to one degree or another right now. But I'd say we're far from reaching into that realm very far. But partly because we live in a world where we still have to have funds to pay the mortgage and eat and whatever. It's so we still got to play that game. But Nicholas and I have a lot of conversations about it, and it's we use the term sometimes magic, that God is going to do something magical, and something will be provided, and it will be in a way that we never anticipated. But because we're trusting the universe, it comes.
And it's already ready. It's on its way. Pat.
Is totally different, but I want us, can you hear me?
Yep.
There's a young girl, Jen, that had a birthday, and I wanted us to sing happy birthday to her. So maybe we can do it after we after John and Evelyn.
Well, let's do it after the recording. I'll press, that'd be great. John and
Evelyn.
I just wanted to give a quick comment about giving without strings attached. It starts to really roll, because what Gil's describing is someone came and did their road, and he was describing a huge expense. And living out in the country, I know what it's like to do that kind of work. And yet the people that came to visit, it was their personal joy to do that. It's like, I can see something that I can do that will really prosper this, without having any expectations or strings, and then later on they're going to, invite me or allow me to stay anytime I want, even though it's crowded or, anything like that. There was nothing, because it was like, wow, I can do that for him, and it's a joy. And that's the take back on it. It isn't like there's an exchange of money. And yeah.
It's very,
it's just a comment I wanted to make.
Good point.
Good.
No strings, no expectations.
That's right.
And it starts to roll. That happens in my life as well. And, I'm thinking, oh God, I need this, and I don't have those resources. And then it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking small things. I'm not talking about a new road, but, suddenly someone came with this, or there it is, what I needed. And one was a truck. I'm out in the country. We needed a truck to carry stuff to the dump and stuff. And I'm in this conversation with God about that. And he said, don't force it. Don't go to auctions. Don't buy a truck. Just wait. And the truck I wanted, the color I wanted, the age I wanted, the brand I wanted showed up unsolicited. And it's like out there, and it does a good job.
Awesome. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Love it.
Well, I am very, very grateful. I think Eddie, I'm going to mute you. Eddie and I are, he's just up in the loft, so we're talking to each other. Very grateful to all of you for coming together tonight, and for those of you we don't see very often, we're looking forward to the next time. And Gil, you're in my heart. Love you forever. Thank you so much for being spontaneous and jumping on with us tonight. We really appreciate what you're doing and how you're doing it. We feel, especially as the beneficiaries here tonight in person, to have been really honored that you would share this time with us. And we do hope that you would join us again soon when you're able.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah, so, I would love to. I love coming here. we just have our other meeting at the same time. So, but
let's all just get together, like,
yeah.
you know. I sincerely appreciate all of you who did come together with Gil and enrich all of us today. You all brought your supply in such a beautiful way, and we're going away blessed tonight and walking just a little bit taller. So thank you. And may Lord bless you all and keep you in his heart and mind and love. And my prayer is that you would all know that he lives in that place where all possibilities exist, and he's just waiting for you to look that way so that it can arrive in your lap. We love you dearly.